Alright guys, well I'm back today with an update on Wolfpack Armory, and not just on the Mark V rifle that they sent out to the channel, but an update and overview of the company in general and where I see them going in the future, as well as some updates that they've added to their lineup, and some pretty interesting options that are going to be available in the near future. We're going to start off by updating you guys with the rifle's performance in its standard configuration, and it's been working great. I've recently reviewed a SIG Romeo 4XT Pro, and it's been a solid red dot option to go on top of this high-value top-tier rifle. And as part of that review, we ran even more rounds through this rifle, and we've just been extending the round count to really give you guys an overall feel for the rifle, and it's been running great with no issues. On top of that, we've also added a can to the end of it, utilizing one of their hub adapters, which we'll talk about in a second as part of the company overview and different offerings that they're going to be adding in the future. Now, when we added a can, we did run into some issues with tuning, so I added a Wolf extra power spring into the buffer system, and that alleviated all of the issues we had, and this thing ran like a sewing machine. Every time you add a can to the rifle, it definitely changes the gas dynamics of the entire system, and they do a lot of things to make this can compatible, but occasionally you will have to swap out a spring or add a heavier buffer depending on the can and load you're running. And with some slight tuning by adding that Wolf extra power spring, this thing has been running great. So if you do run into issues in any setup, not just this particular one, make sure you're tuning your rifle correctly. I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent. A 3 o'clock ejection pattern is what I like to see for a jack-of-all-trades rifle. 4 and 5 o'clock is great for a competition shooting rifle or just a rifle that you may add a can to, meaning the shells are coming out and kicking 4 and 5 o'clock. But anything at 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock seems to be overgassed, especially when you add a can to it. When we added a can to this, we were getting an ejection pattern at 1 o'clock. It was slightly inconsistent and leaving spent shell casings in the chamber. Not because they were getting stuck in the chamber, merely because the bolt was unlocking and pulling back before the round had time to depressurize, making it stick in the chamber. Once the pressure left, the shell simply would fall out of the gun, so it wasn't stuck in the chamber, meaning the rifle was overgassed. You can remedy that situation by adjusting the gas system, but it works so well without a can. The answer to it was adding the Wolf extra power spring, and again, it's been running great, so no issues with that. The rifle itself has been running good with feed and function. No actual issues once the Wolf extra power spring was added for the can. The ejection pattern was fairly consistent between 3 and I'd say about 330 or 230, and then the rail system has had a solid lockup. The gas system has had a solid lockup, and no carrier tilt on this. I'm not seeing the buffer itself kind of wear in an undue manner, and everything has been running great. So just a solid quality build, even after a ton of rounds through it, even after a ton of rounds with a can on the end of it. The next thing I want to discuss is kind of the adaptations of the Mark V that you can find on their site. They're doing some pretty interesting things with the Mark V rifle in a wide variety of configurations, including the brand new Tactician. I'd love to get my hands on one of those, potentially in the future, but in a nutshell, it's pretty freaking awesome, especially with the additions that they've added to the Tactician, as well as the color variations of the rail system and complete setup. They also have the new CQB pistol, which is featuring a lot of the same setups as the Mark V, but in a pistol configuration. And they just launched, which I've put in a request for. I've specifically asked for this setup, the CQB pistol with the quad rail. And this goes back into the company in general. It goes back into their vision for the future and me kind of from the outside looking in. I've never seen a company execute so well what customers want to see. You know, a lot of guys killed off the quad rail, and these guys are bringing it back because quad rail is king, and they're doing some amazing stuff with these M-lock rail systems and solid lockups that feels almost Geisley-esque. It's really kind of stepping up their what they're doing with their rifles and taking it to the next tier, and that's really evident in that quad rail setup. The other cool thing that Wolfpack Armory is doing that I want to discuss is they're kind of admiration for the Plan B compatible setup. So they are releasing their Plan B compatible muzzle devices as well as their hubs for the back of hub compatible cans. And if you're unfamiliar with hub compatible cans, I have a full review video on that you can check out. This is a YHM 30 cal can, and a lot of the more modern cans have hub compatible threads in the back, which is an industry standard that you can swap out the hubs. And when you put a hub in the back, you can swap those out to different hubs for different muzzle devices. And generally, a lot of those hubs are going to run anywhere from about $100 to $160 up to $300, depending on what you're looking at. Now, the ones for Plan B can be right around $100, but this one's pretty cool because they offer a low profile hub that comes in at $60, so about $40 cheaper, which is really nice, and it makes up great. It's got the taper lock system that is on all Plan B muzzle devices, and you can save a lot of money by going with theirs, and a lot of them already come with those Plan B muzzle devices already attached, so adding the hub to your can for $60 is a no-brainer. I actually specifically requested this, and these guys were nice enough to send it out. The other cool thing is this allows you to get one of the most short packages you can possibly get out of a K can, because that hub is so low profile and it recesses in, that muzzle device is completely contained and it only adds a couple of inches to the end of your rifle, making this perfect for a wide variety of situations, especially some of their new pistol offerings, which I'm really excited about, with the 10.5-inch barrels, allowing you to just really add almost just a couple of inches to the end of your setup, so you can still clear steering columns inside a car, clear corners inside your house, and utilize it for different CQB applications. In summary, Wolfpack Armory is killing it, not only in what they're producing now with their Mark V rifle, but where I see them going in the future with the just new release of that quad rail pistol, the quad rail in general, and the Plan B compatible hubs and muzzle devices that they're offering, as well as potentially offering a lot of different cans in the future. Hopefully I'll get to review some of their cans, and I'm really excited about getting one of their quad rail setups out to the channel. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What is your favorite offering from Wolfpack Armory? Even though I haven't tried the quad rail yet, I think that's going to be my favorite in the future. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Wolfpack Armory for sending this out to the channel for me to try. I greatly appreciate your support. And a huge shout out to AAC for sponsoring the ammo to help make this video and to continue to update you guys on the performance of this setup. I ran a lot of their 62 grain and 55 grain with no issues once that Wolf Extra Power Spring was in this setup, and it ran like a champ. Attack driver at a distance. We were plinking targets at 200 yards on top of the ridge line. Just a fun setup, and this video was again made possible by AAC, always supporting us with ammo. Have a good one.